Hello, everyone. My name is Wambui. Welcome to 70 Years and Beyond. The question of the day is, how did television shows from the 1950s and the 1960s influence you? I can start by saying that I was greatly influenced by the TV shows that I watched in the 1950s and the 1960s. I was born in 1950, so those years, the 50s through the 60s, were my formative years. Also, TV was still relatively new. So we were all still in awe of this box that we could bring into our home that not only had sound and we could hear the stories like we did on radio, but now we could see the stories. So it was entertaining. It was also educational in that we got to travel via our TV. We got to see places and go places that we never could have afforded to have gone, but we were able to see them through the TV. For instance, Paris, France, and different London, the UK, countries all over the world, we were able to see via our TV. I'd never seen New York City before as a child, but I saw it on my TV. So the TV was a great influence. It was an educational tool. Now, our parents were very good in that even then, even though we were in awe with this new thing that was in our home, our parents were very good to say, don't sit in front of that TV all day long. Go outside and play. So even then, they knew that there was something about sitting and staring at this box all day long. Although they also realized that when they needed it, it could be a very good in-home babysitter for a moment when you had some things you needed to do and you needed the kids to keep quiet. You'd quickly find a show that would entertain them so you could take care of something you needed to take care of. But at the same time, they did encourage us to be outside. So I was never gripped by the TV. Now, I know today, if I had a choice of being outside or inside, I would choose inside. But just like I believe most kids, when they're kids, I preferred being outside. There was nothing that on the TV that was going to interfere with me making my mud pies, roller skating, riding my bicycle, and just running around the backyard. So I was never addicted to the TV or just gripped to the point where all I wanted to do was watch TV. My favorite show on TV was the Ed Sullivan Show. I liked that show. It was a variety show. They not only had singers, dancers, comics, but I remember seeing penguins doing tricks on the Ed Sullivan Show. I remember seeing a lot of animal acts, and I remember this one guy who could juggle these plates, and he'd have these plates piled high all the way to the ceiling, and he could juggle them and move them around, and the plates just never fell. And I just thought that was the most amusing and entertaining thing that I knew of. Second in line to that would be the I Love Lucy show. I loved Lucy. Even as a small child, I think I was able to, it just was a funny show. I just loved the humor in that show. And I thought she was very pretty. And I had never heard anyone speak with an accent like Ricky Ricardo had. And so I was just impressed with that whole show. Now on Saturday mornings, there was a lineup of Saturday morning cartoons that I liked. My favorite in that whole lineup was a cartoon called Mighty Mouse. And it started off with something that went like, "Here I come to save the day. My name is Mighty Mouse." Now, I don't know the rest of it, but I loved Mighty Mouse. I remember sitting at my table, my kitchen table, eating Rice Krispies with the snap, crackle, and pop. because you had to keep the box right there by you as you ate. I loved eating Snap Rice Krispies with the box right there so that I could see Snap, Crackle, and Pop. But I loved the commercials also were pretty good. I enjoyed the commercials, and the commercials did exactly what they were supposed to do. You'd see something on TV, and next thing you know, you're going, "Ma, can we get whatever it was that they were showing on the TV?" I want to share this picture with you. This is a picture of, well, there's a neighbor. The tallest girl is a neighbor, next door neighbor. Then the next tallest girl is my sister. Then I'm next to my sister. And then my oldest brother is next to me. And this was the day when we got our Mickey Mouse ears. We were fans of the Mickey Mouse Club. I guess I should say the original Mickey Mouse Club that would come on after school. And we were just in awe of that show. And we loved the part where the guy would go, M-I-C, see you real soon. K-E-Y, why? Because we love you. M-O-U-S-E. We loved that. I loved it. My favorite person on the show was, at the time, a young girl named Annette Funicello. And I just thought she was pretty. And I loved her hair. She had dark hair. And that was like curls all over it, looked like. And she had large earlobes, but I could never tell if she was wearing what we used to call earbobs, pearl earbobs, or if those were her lobes. I later discovered that those were her lobes, but large lobes or not, she was my favorite. And so I wanted to be Annette Funicello. And so on this particular day, my mother came home with ears for all of us. And so now we felt like we were part of the Mickey Mouse Club. Another show that we all enjoyed was Superman. And, Superman was one of the things that we did with TV was that we made TV active. We made it interactive for us. For instance, when we would watch Superman, then we would go outside and we'd play Superman. And so we'd take turns being Clark Kent and the other characters. We'd rotate around. But most of the shows that we would see on TV, we would take them outside and then we would become those actors and we would reenact those scenes. So in a lot of ways, TV for us was interactive. It wasn't just something that we sat and watched, because as we're watching, we're memorizing and we're thinking about how we're going to play this when we go outside. And of course, in those days, there were a lot of Westerns on TV as well. And so that's where we would get the idea of, okay, we're going to go outside and you're going to be the bad guy, I'm going to be the good guy, and then we're going to come shoot you all up and we're going to arrest you, put you in jail, I'm going to be the sheriff. And so we learned to be interactive. We learned to act out almost all of the shows that we would see on TV. We would eventually go out in the yard and we would become the actors and act those shows out. Now, as you can imagine, 1950, 1960, there weren't that many Black people who were on TV. Every now and then, variety shows like the Ed Sullivan shows, they would feature a Black singer, a Black comic, something like that. But as far as everyday or being a real character on a show, we didn't see that a lot. Now, the only place I would see a Black kid was the Little Rascals, a Buckwheat. I believe there was another character too, but I don't remember his name. So that was the show. But I wasn't feeling like, as a child, I wasn't thinking, oh, I don't see any Black actors. Because I wasn't thinking that. You know how Buckwheat is treated in the Little Rascals, or if you remember how Buckwheat was treated, he was treated just like nobody ever went up to Buckwheat and said, oh, you're Black, I'm white. And that's how I felt when I was watching it. I knew he was dark like me, but it was just another kid who was part of the troupe. And there was another show that was controversial that I enjoyed, but it was very controversial later on, and that was a show called Amos and Andy. Now, Amos and Andy originally aired as a radio show, and it was about Black people, but there were white actors who played the Black people and sounded like Black people. So then when the show went to TV, they had black actors play black actors. Okay. And I liked the show. I guess maybe innately I'm thinking I like the show because it's at least black people on there. I don't know. I didn't feel like I was consciously thinking that, but I liked the show because I thought it was funny. And the show was controversial because it's centered around this main character named Kingfish, who was the laziest person in the universe. And he would lie, steal, cheat, do whatever he could to get out of doing some work. Or if he thought he could get some money from you, then he had no loyalty to anyone. And so he was a very negative character. And a lot of people in the black community felt he was playing this stereotypical role. And there was another role on the show of Lightning, who was a guy who sometimes was just very slow. But around them were other characters who I thought were good people. I thought the acting on the show was good. I thought it was funny. I thought the characters looked good. I thought they dressed good. I thought their homes looked good. And one of the reasons why, even to this day, sometimes I'll watch a clip of Amos and Andy on YouTube is because it reminds me of my childhood home. When I see their living room, it reminds me of the homes of my home, but also homes I used to see when I was a little girl growing up. And they also had the exact curtains that we had in our home, which was the crisscross voile curtains that they had a tie back on each end. Anyway, when I look at their living room, I see those curtains and it reminds me of the curtains that we used to have in our home when I was a child. So I don't have a problem with Amos and Andy, and I feel like there were a lot of things that were good. And when I became an actor and looked back, I realized that one of the things that was good was that you had all these black actors and actresses who were working. And so I thought that was a good thing. But yeah, I'm going to leave it right there. But I didn't have any problem with the show, but it was considered very controversial because this character Kingfish and I guess the character Lightning were doing the stereotypical characters, and they felt that wasn't good since you didn't have that many black characters on TV anyway, and now this is what we are going to see. So that's how come the show was eventually taken off the air. There were a host of shows that I loved. I loved The Lassie. There was a show called Loretta Young, which featured this actress named Loretta Young, and she was very wealthy and had lots of pretty clothes, and I liked seeing her come down the step at the opening of her show. There were so many shows that most of the shows were family oriented, and most of the shows tried to teach you a lesson or some moral thing by the end of the show. So I had a good time with the TV shows. I enjoyed watching TV when I was a child. I liked the shows. I liked the cartoons. My favorite was always the variety shows. When you ask about the influence that TV had on me during the 1950s and the 1960s, the influence was tremendous to the point where watching those shows, I Love Lucy, Lassie, all those things, the variety shows made me want to be on those shows. It made me want to be those people. And so as I was going into my phase of life where you choose a career, I chose that I wanted to be the people that I saw on TV. I wanted to try being a comic. I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to sing songs. I wanted to dance. I wanted to do things to entertain people. And I believe that at a very young age, watching the TV for me planted that seed and gave me a desire to want to be one of those people. And yeah, I'm grateful for that.